At the dawn of the 20th century, America was in the midst of an industrial and social revolution. Increasing numbers of women were entering the industrial labor force as well as professions, including business, law, and medicine. Women's colleges, known for their rigorous academic requirements, began implementing physical education programs into their curricula, with expectations far exceeding good health habits. In 1890, Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, built one of the largest, most well-equipped gymnasiums in the country, and in 1892 appointed 23-year-old Senda Berenson as physical educator. Berenson's task was to implement a daily fitness regimen for Smith students to improve their physical strength and to prepare them for the rigors of employment in the workforce. Initially, Berenson's greatest challenge was keeping her students engaged. In 1892, physical education activities consisted of marching in time and performing Swedish gymnastics, a synchronized form of stretching and strength exercises. Students quickly became bored and would find any kind of excuse to get out of class. While searching for an activity that would motivate her students, Berenson unknowingly transformed the world of women's sports. James Naismith, a young instructor at the YMCA training school in Springfield, Massachusetts, had recently developed a new indoor sport for men called basketball. Berenson read a magazine article in which Naismith described the game, and she was immediately intrigued with the idea of implementing the sport into her own curriculum. With one football and two wastepaper baskets suspended from the gymnasium ceiling, Berenson introduced 400 Smith students to the game of basketball, eliciting great enthusiasm from the participants.
Friday afternoon at the gym, we played a game instead of going through the ordinary performances. 2 wastepaper baskets were hung, one on either side of the gym, about 3 feet above our heads. We had a football which was to be touched only with the hands, and the object was to get it into your opponent's basket and keep it out of your own. It was great fun and very exciting, especially when we got knocked down, as frequently happened.
On March 22, 1893, the first Smith College basketball championship was held between the sophomores, the class of 1895, and the freshmen, the class of 1896. Over 800 students attended the event, which consisted of 2 15-minute halves and 1 10-minute intermission. A single point was awarded for each basket scored.
The entire college turned out with class colors and banners waving. They filled the broad balcony, the early ones sitting on the edge dangling their legs, the others standing along the walls. As I threw the ball for the beginning of the game, the cheering and screaming of the spectators was a high-pitched sound I do believe no one had ever heard before and was deafening.
In 1893, women competing in a team sport was a radical concept. The medical profession was adamantly opposed to women's athletics and had issued several warnings about the negative effects of physical activity for women. By including basketball in her program, Berenson faced criticism from the public and concern from parents.
Dearest Mama, don't believe the newspaper article. I have seen others similar to it, and they are all wrong. Helen Abbott did break her collarbone by running against the president's platform, but that's about all the paper got straight. Her collarbone is not badly splintered either, for it is a small, clean break. And moreover, the faculty haven't taken up the movement to abolish basketball, as the paper says. Neither have her parents made any demand to stop the game.
Berenson remained undaunted by the opposition she faced in introducing basketball for women. With 3 simple rule changes, she designed women's basketball to avoid the physical roughness often associated with the men's game. First, she divided the court into 3 equal sections and required players to stay in their assigned section. Second, she prohibited players from snatching or batting the ball from the hands of another player. And third, to increase the pace of the game, players were not permitted to hold the ball for longer than 3 seconds. The popularity of basketball soared on campus. Students played the game in physical education classes in the fall and winter and eagerly anticipated the announcement of class teams for the spring championship.
The teams are to be posted tomorrow before chapel, and of course, there's wild excitement and consequence. I've not the faintest hope of making the regular, but I do hope to get on the sub, and I will not send this letter until I can let you know what the result is. You can imagine the suspense. Marjorie Gain, February 20th, 1898.
Once the teams were selected, players elected captains, held practices, and implemented training rules to prepare themselves for competition. Classmates wrote creative lyrics to popular songs and borrowed cheers from collegiate football to exhort their teams on to victory.
Hurrah, hurrah for 97, the class that beats them all.
The day of the annual championship game was filled with festivities, including a parade of mascots and a colorful extravaganza of ribbons, banners, and flags hung from every rafter of the gymnasium. Students stood in line for hours before the game's official tip-off, hoping to get one of the prize seats in the gallery above the court. Cheers and songs from hundreds of students waiting in line erupted across campus, prompting local newspapers to publish reports of student hysteria.
Class that beats them all. Hurrah!
My voice wasn't quite gone, nor was I even very hoarse. As for standing in line the day of the game, why, we had to, and we weren't the only ones. The line stretched from one of the houses to the new gym, and you saw by the paper that the audience was about 1,200, so perhaps you can imagine the jam.
The gym was packed with girls nearly to the roof, and every square inch was taken up. We all sang and cheered, and then the door opened and out came the teams. I was so happy, I screamed.
Long live the sophomore ball team, the freshman team of 99, its praises we are singing.
The score at the half was 10-3 in favor of the Sophs. Then, all of a sudden, we freshmen got furious and started piling up the score. We made 3 baskets in about a minute, and we were rushing for another when Rosalind fell and lay writhing on the floor. That took the spirit out of us, I'm afraid, for we seemed to lose our fight. And then, before we knew it, the game was over. Well, it was glorious anyway.
We'll forget her never. She's tall and quick and fair and square, so cheer Kennard forever.
At the conclusion of each game, the captain of the winning team was awarded the championship banner, then hoisted on the shoulders of her teammates and paraded around the court to the cheers and songs of her classmates. The students' enthusiasm for basketball had a tremendous impact on the public perception of women's athletics. Major newspapers and magazines in the Northeast covered the championship game. Reporters equated the popularity of the event to that of the Harvard-Yale men's football game, and one Boston headline read, "The American Girl, the world's best athlete." Soon after Berenson introduced basketball at Smith, colleges around the country adopted the game, and its popularity soared. While football and baseball remained the premier sports for men, basketball quickly established itself as the American women's sporting experience, a new game for the new woman of the 20th century. Today, the Alumni Gymnasium is home to the Smith College Archives and the Sophia Smith Collection. Thousands of scholars visit annually to examine manuscripts, photographs, and other preserved memorabilia. But the building's architecture reveals an exciting past. Holes still exist in the original brick wall for bolts that suspended the gallery above the court, where hundreds of students stood and sang for their classmates. Here, too, are the original oak beams from which the colorful class banners, flags, and ribbons of numerous teams were hung. Berenson's spirit and determination revolutionized the world of women's sport. Today, millions of women experience the challenges and excitement of professional, collegiate, and interscholastic team competition, which all began with the efforts of one physical educator who taught her students a game called basketball. And in early spring, if you walk past the Alumni Gymnasium and listen carefully, you can still hear the echoes from that first March Madness resound across campus.
We are the senior class, best of all around. Let the echoes wake, girls, raise the joyful sound. Honor to the yellow girls, everywhere renowned, for we've been marching on. Hurrah, hurrah for 97, none are finer under heaven. Hurrah, hurrah for 97, the class that beats them all.